Today's message is coming from 1 John chapter 3, starting in verse 18. My little children, let us not love in word, neither in tongue, but in deed and in truth. And hereby we know that we are of the truth, and shall assure our hearts before him. For if our heart condemn us, God is greater than our heart, and knoweth all things. Beloved, if our heart condemn us not, then have we confidence toward God. And whatsoever we ask, we receive of him, because we keep his commandments, and do those things that are pleasing in his sight. And this is his commandment, that we should believe on the name of his Son, Jesus Christ, and love one another, as he gave us commandment. And he that keepeth his commandments dwelleth in him, and he in him. And hereby we know that he abideth in us, by the Spirit which he has given us. Butterflies in your stomach, a wave of passion, knocked off your feet, are all telling signs that you're in love. In this video, we're talking about two kinds of love. The love we're accustomed to, called the heart's love, and the love you may have never heard of, called the spirit's love. The heart's love is sparked when one receives the wanted attention from another. This may lead to a spiral frenzy of irrational behavior and unreasonable decisions. I get it. Enticing, right? But what's also associated with the heart's love is heightened anxiety, depression, and feelings of anger and shame. Is the heart's love what God intended love to be? If I'm not feeling these waves of emotion, should I remain in my marriage? Does marriage kill love? And lastly, how do I express my love towards another? How did we get to this point where believers and non-believers desire the same love? Well, the misunderstanding of love spurs from how love is marketed in the mainstream media. Innocent as they may seem, novels, movies, and holidays all portray love to be sensual and devilish, but has nothing to do with true love. The Spirit's love doesn't condone inappropriate behavior and doesn't boast such characteristics as sensual nor devilish. And although we like to believe that movies or novels can't sway our opinion, over time it does, leaving you with more questions than answers. In Ezekiel chapter 36 and verse 26, it states how God will give us a new heart and a new spirit that will replace the stony heart out of your flesh. And it continues to say in Ezekiel chapter 36, verse 27, how God will put his spirit within you so that you could walk in his statutes and keep as well as do his judgments. Leaders could spend a lifetime trying to teach their members how to love. But no matter how hard they try, it has to be given by God. So, in layman's terms, love can't be taught or faked, because it involves the personal pursuit towards pleasing God in order to receive it from God. Here's a common scenario. You're in your feelings as you indulge in what the Bible characterizes as the heart's love. When something happens, you begin to feel bored in your relationship and demand more from your partner. And wanting more, you begin to bother your partner as though there's some fruitful tree, withholding the most desirable fruit and awaiting your request for more. And no matter how hard you press them, you find that they're incapable of giving you more because they don't have any more to give. So what are you left to do? Leave. The heart is bored, and in an attempt to quench your heart's desire, you search for another partner. And although you may find another partner to love, you soon realize that their supply of love is limited as well. The question we need to ask ourselves is, why have we deduced love to mere feelings, when we know clearly that there are no bounds to satisfying our feelings? Which lends to why the heart's love is described by the world as a drug. And maybe it is to a certain degree, but unlike a drug you've grown accustomed to, there's no potent derivation of it. What you're experiencing is a void that cannot be filled by anything of this world. This voidness is simply a placeholder for a better love to come, the Spirit's love. In Psalm chapter 39 and verse 5, we read how man in his best state is altogether vanity. So you learn that the initial feeling of love from a human may feel good and may even be something you enjoy. However, it doesn't last forever. And it's not that the person doesn't love you any longer, but the initial feelings felt by the heart is conceptualized differently over time. That's why the Word of God says we can't just love in word nor tongue, but in deed and in truth. Because love is intended to be more than the physical aspect of a relationship and requires more from an individual than their physical touch. There needs to be a series of selfless actions when considering love. For example, someone may kiss you and say that they love you, but when you return home, there's nothing prepared for you to eat, nor would they ask if you'd like something to eat. So although the love we require is selfless, I want to emphasize that it doesn't come naturally. So you may ask, why did God give us the heart's love if it could condemn us? Because he knew that he was greater and also possessed a love that was greater than the heart's love. So there's no argument that the heart could love, but the Spirit's love is a hidden love, hidden in the sense of its origin, being from God, and in its intent to grant us more out of life. God is a spirit, and Jesus says in John chapter 4, verse 24, that true worshipers must worship the Father in spirit and in truth. 1 John chapter 3 and verse 18 mentions how we should love in deed and truth. The parallels seen in these two scriptures are hinting towards directing our efforts with regard to serving God, and in doing so, we learn more about ourselves and how we should love one another. Could God be considered our testing grounds? Yes, because we cannot harm God. When we reveal to someone that we love them, this love is often based on unspoken conditions, like, if you treat me right, I'll treat you right. But conditional love is flawed, in that the days of language are inevitable. And if your partner is knocked down, they will continue to need your help to get back up again. And the need for your help could last throughout a lifetime. This could be draining, and your heart won't naturally understand the merits behind you remaining with said individual without displaying some form of backlash, especially in the case when you're just dating. The Spirit's love, on the other hand, will not only provide purposeful rationale to stay, but will keep you motivated in different ways on how you could display your love toward your partner. In another portion of the Bible, it states that God is love. If God is love and God is also a spirit, and Jesus mentions how the Father would send the Comforter, which is the Spirit, then the Spirit's love is transferred to an individual by the Spirit. The Spirit's love is selfless and purposeful in its intent. Needless to say, the Spirit's love trumps the heart's love, and it's a gift that requires God's permission in order to be received. So why would we want to strive to receive the Spirit's love? Because the Spirit's love hinges on the results of your thoughts and actions toward people. The Spirit's love is also long-suffering, gentle, kind, doesn't boast itself, endures all things, and doesn't behave itself inappropriately. There may be times where you may feel as though you love your partner more than they love you. And this may be a result of one having the Spirit's love and the other having the heart's love, or very little love. And that's okay, because that person can be changed by God. Remember, the Spirit's love is a gift from God. And just because your partner doesn't have the Spirit's love or possesses very little love towards you doesn't mean they can't receive the Spirit's love later on. Because although you may have been drawn to them by the heart's love, the Spirit's love will only reaffirm your decision as to why you married them to begin with. In addition, the reception of the Spirit's love is a true sign of conversion from the heart. And although we crave the feelings associated with the heart's love, the feelings aren't lasting, leaving both partners feeling vulnerable and insecure. And there's no winner in that. Relationships flourish when there's enough respect to share commonalities while cherishing each other's differences. There's an inevitable problem whenever you find yourself moving forward in the faith, but backwards in love. You could almost conclude that one cancels the other, sometimes leaving you feeling empty, hopeless, and ultimately lost. A good example of this is someone who's willing to help and forgive strangers before helping and forgiving members of their own household. It can be easier to perform selfless acts of love towards strangers because of the immediate gratitude shared and lack of emotional responsibility involved. Christians involved in this type of lifestyle may perform traits of the Spirit's love without actually possessing the Spirit's love. Christians with thought processes like this one can readily justify resenting family members on the basis of family shortcomings that they've found to be unacceptable, leaving little room for personal growth and heightening the chances of rebellious behavior. For those who's lost the passion to read the Bible, they need to reconsider why they read. Other than the obvious reason that the Word cleans all facets of yourself, we serve God and read His Word to get the most out of life, which is another reason why we need a better reason to read the Word of God, other than for curiosity's sake. When it comes to the deductive reasoning in the Bible, curiosity could condemn us instead of helping us. We're reading the Word of God because we are ready to learn more about ourselves as we disregard anything else that's not according to God's will. But since the Spirit's love comes from God, we could rest assured that we're receiving a true treasure, because all good and perfect things come from above, from the Father of lights, where there is no variableness. God bless.